Hello, today I'm going to talk about three literary terms: irony, sarcasm, and satire. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe my channel. My today's discussion goes with irony, sarcasm, and satire. And before you listen to my discussion, please try to find out the answer of the given questions on this slide. Let's discuss now. Irony. Irony consists of saying one thing while it means another. Irony is found when the words actually used appear to contradict the sense actually required in the context and presumably intended by the speaker. Utterances like "Aren't you clever?" or "What lovely weather" when it's raining, found in speech, are not to be taken literally. Directed against another person, irony is often sarcastic, serving as an oblique polite form of criticism. But if the intended irony is not perceived, then its force is lost. It's just what I've always wanted. In literary criticism, the effect of language in which the intended meaning is the opposite of what is stated is irony. Irony can be defined as saying something while you really mean something else. What appears on the surface and what is intended is different. There is contradiction between what appears on the surface and what really is meant. That's the point. It's very common in everyday speech. For example, when we say that was a clever thing to do, meaning that was very foolish. And it is also widely used in literature. The word irony comes from the Greek word iron, which means dissembler. In fact, the ironic speaker dissembles, that is to say, he or she hides his real intention and does or performs something different. Here, the discrepancy or incongruity is between what appears or what is believed to be the case and the real state of affairs. What appears on surface or what is believed is quite contradictory with what is the case in real state of affairs. That's the irony. Irony is not only verbal, as phrases like "the irony of the situation" or "tragic irony" suggest. Although there are different types of irony like verbal, situational, dramatic, classical, romantic, cosmic, Socratic, etc., the three primary types include verbal irony, in which there is a contrast between what a character literally says and what he or she means. That's verbal irony. Situational irony, which occurs when an event or situation turns out to be the reverse of what is expected or appropriate. And the third category includes dramatic or tragic irony, which occurs when the audience knows something that one or more of the characters on stage do not know. Dramatic irony is often used to add humor or suspense to a scene. This is all about irony. And it's time to talk about sarcasm. Sarcasm is a wounding remark, pinching remark, often expressed ironically. It's a kind of bullying. In fact, sarcasm is an ironical statement intended to hurt or insult. It is a common form of mockery in ordinary day-to-day speech. It can be defined as speaking harshly or bitterly against a person, thing, or an event. That is to hurt or insult the person or the thing under consideration. Sarcasm comes from the Greek word meaning flesh tearing. So, etymologically, and this word is used for that sense, that is harsh sense. It is a rhetorical and literary device used to ridicule someone or something and generally attempting to wound and amuse simultaneously. Wounding remark, ironically stated, expressed, and making a person feeling very sad and ridiculed. At the same time, uh, creating a kind of amusement to the reader or audience simultaneously. Sarcasm also occurs when a speaker intends to wound a third party through subversive and derogatory language used to ridicule or show displeasure. In Shakespeare's tragedy of Hamlet, the title character Hamlet ridicules his mother's affair with his uncle, which began almost immediately after his father's death, by saying, "The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the marriage tables." The unique quality of sarcasm exists in its nuance of tone. The content of a sarcastic statement often depends on the situation in which it is created and used. So, this is what we call sarcasm, and it's time to talk about satire. Satire is a genre of literature that uses wit for the purpose of social criticism. It is the art of ridiculing a subject through laughter and scorn. While comedy evokes laughter as an end in itself, satire uses laughter as a weapon against a vice. Satire ridicules problems in society, government, businesses, and individuals in order to bring attention to certain follies, vices, and abuses, as well as to lead to improvements. There are two major types of satire, formal or direct. Satire speaks directly to the reader or to the character in the work. Another type of satire is indirect satire, which relies upon the ridiculous behavior of its characters to make its point. Formal satire is further divided into two manners: Horacian, which ridicules gently, and the Juvenalian, which derides its subjects harshly and bitterly. A satire may have several targets. It may be directed at an individual, a type of person, a social class, an institution, a political ideology, a nation, or even the entire human race. Satirists try to use their art to improve the world we live in by making the vice they target contemptible and repulsive. They hope to contribute to its elimination. Satire does not exist only in literature. It is also popular in films, TV shows, songs, comic strips, cartoons, and so on. In Roman literature, for example, Juvenal, the communication in the form of letter between equals, complaining the ills of contemporary society is satire. The genre in this form is characterized by a first-person narrator exasperated by social ills. The latter form, a high frequency of contemporary reference, and the use of invective in low-style language. Alexander Pope, a neoclassical English writer, practices the genre thus in the epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. Sir Thomas Ware's Mine on John Poins draws ultimately on a gentler Horacian model of the genre. Satire is a verse or prose blending a critical attitude with humor and wit. The main purpose of satire is to ridicule frailties in human customs and situations, and by causing laughter to inspire their reforms. Irony and sarcasm are often an important aspect of satire. Satirists also often use juxtaposition, analogy, parody, and double entendre to highlight their points. The 18th century was the golden age of satire. John Dryden, Jonathan Swift, Alexander Pope, Joseph Addison, Richard Steele, Samuel Butler, etc., are the masters of satire. Jonathan Swift stands out among English writers of the 18th century as the one who attacked most fiercely the shortcomings of his society and of man in general. His Gulliver's Travels is the masterpiece of this genre. Satire was his most powerful weapon, a weapon that was also used to create effect in France by Voltaire, was a tireless campaigner against evil, injustice, and hypocrisy. Okay, with this discussion, I'm sure you got the points regarding irony, sarcasm, and satire. I'm sure you got the answers on the first slide of this discussion. If you have any queries regarding the presentation, you can put your comments in my comment box. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.